Yeah, on the phone, live in the studio. And you'll notice that he's not from around here. So Tristan, say hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Good to meet you. So you weren't born in an Ogra, were you?
No, in a little town outside London, and I came over here as a backpacker many moons ago, and haven't been able to pick up and leave yet.
Well, there you go. So you've probably been in Brisbane longer than I have. So one of the things over that time, hasn't the world changed?
Oh, so dramatically. I mean, I find myself sounding like my grandparents talking to me when I was a kid, when I'm telling my kids, can you stop fighting over which Netflix video to stream? We used to have to go to the movies to watch a movie, you know, things like that are just mind-blowing for kids.
Look, I'm gonna give you a little confession. One of my very first jobs was with IBM back when they were Big Blue, and they were, you know, nobody got sacked for buying IBM. And our marketing guys in one of our early rah-rah sessions for the year was coming in and going, you know, we were still talking about dut banks, right? And remember once upon a time, can you remember the day when to find a National Australia bank, you had to go to a National Australia branch and it was in the wall there and they were the only places. If you went to a Commonwealth bank, they didn't talk to each other. Remember that?
Well, yeah.
And the marketing guy saying, we're getting the banks talking to each other. And we all, good belly laugh, that was. And now you think about today and how fast the world's moving and how easy it is to be connected with everyone. And I guess this is what you're helping people do, is stay ever so much more connected with that. You were telling us that you were working for Nokia and telcos, and you had 20 years in those. Must have seen some exciting times and an amazing amount of change in that time.
Oh, look, phenomenal, Kevin. When I was first working for Nokia, we were literally telling people that, you know, there were letters on the phone because you could now send a text message, which, you know, back in the day when you had to press the button 4 times to get to a letter was a nightmare. So no one used it very much. But yeah, back in the day, you know, a fast internet connection was more than 9,600 bits per second baud rate. You know, I mean, we're talking so slow. Pre-dial-up, it was just incredibly difficult to get things done when you were online. So yeah, it's hugely changed.
You know, I'm a huge horse racing fan, and there was a horse that was owned by one of the Australian soccer players, right? And he called it Buffering. It ended up being quite a famous horse. But the reason it got called Buffering was because he was always like international. He was playing over in the UK, and to watch horses run, and forever it was getting the buffering. Hang on. And while above, and so that's how that horse got. Anyway, long story. We really want to focus on you. We want to focus on all the magnificent stuff that you can do all in one place. Okay, so let's talk about how we can save money using Office 365.
Yeah, so Office 365 is really poorly misunderstood, and I've kind of shied away from talking about that technology more recently because people immediately just assume I'm talking about Word and PowerPoint and Excel and maybe OneDrive, Outlook obviously for email, and if they're very adventurous they may have used SharePoint or something in the past. But there are so many tools within that tool set that can allow you to work better, particularly when you're geographically distant from each other. But there are also 20 other applications that most people don't even know they exist. That's partly because most people never log into office.com, which is where you get access to all of that stuff. If it's not downloaded to their desktop, they don't know it's there.
And that is one of the problems, that we are so used to using the tools that are right in front of us. And then we go, okay, so all of a sudden we're starting to be online a lot right now with the fact that we can't all be talking to each other, which actually brings me to the point. I'm predicting that the world's going to change a little bit coming out of this. People are actually learning how to work efficiently at home. And I'm seeing that more people will be looking for working from home more and having themselves in one location and, you know, their marketing person in the other and, you know, or their colleague in another, and not having to physically be in the same space the whole time, which will save them a lot on office costs and rents. Getting together for meetings, sure, absolutely, but not feeling the absolute necessity that they've all got to go into the cities where they can all have one share an office the entire time, with the ease of which we can talk to each other.
Yeah, look, I think we're going through. We've got a couple of stages ahead of this sort of new reality. The one we're currently in is still a bit of a panic mode. Just get home quick, start working, and just stay there and keep safe. But this isn't going to go away anytime soon. From what we're seeing, in predictions, at least a few months that we're going to be working from home and socially isolated. So we're going to get to the point where in a week or two, people are going to start thinking, I've actually got to continue working from home for the foreseeable future. I need to get better than the Band-Aid solutions that I've currently got. You might be using a VPN to get access to most of the stuff you have access to in the office. You might just be making do with using your mobile phone instead of a desk phone. But as time goes by, people are going to want to work more like they are in the office, which means a lot of those cloud services are really going to come into their own. So, for example, you can use your desk phone from anywhere by using voice over IP with Microsoft Teams. Gives you access to all the things that you would do normally with a phone system. And that's an example of where we're going to see a new normal come in. And once that's happened, I don't think we're going to get back to the place where we were pre-COVID.
So hang on, you said all that really fast. So I can even have basically my phone using the Teams, which is already in my Microsoft 365 subscription.
Absolutely. So the thing with Office 365 is that it has a complete ecosystem for collaboration, working remotely, cybersecurity, telephony. So a lot of people are used to using Zoom, for example, for online meetings. If they've already got Office 365 for Word, Excel, and Outlook, they already have Teams, which has pretty much all of the capabilities of Zoom, but also has the benefits of perpetual chat so that you can keep talking to people after the meeting. Has all the benefits of being able to turn a chat message into a phone call. So it's not just for online meetings, it's also for one-to-one communications, which is permanently available. So if you move telephony to there instead of from a physical phone line, you can work from anywhere with your computer and an internet connection.
So, but with this, does the other party also have to have Office 365?
Not at all, no. So you can be phoning someone on their phone line, their traditional phone line from VoIP, from Teams quite easily. It's fully interoperable in the cloud. So in other words, the telcos worry about that. You've just got to worry about your own endpoint.
And we don't have to worry about the video side of it, so I can still work in my pajamas and nobody will really know?
Absolutely. Video you can switch on or off, you can record the sessions, you can share a whiteboard online, all the sort of functionality you'd expect from a modern conferencing facility. But it's just so much more in terms of, for example, my team are now working partly still from the office because the internet's so much better and nobody else is here. So it's actually quite a safe place to be. And half the team are working from their homes. So we have Teams, which allows us at any time to just reach out to each other instead of swiveling the chair. You're just reaching out online to say, hey, can I grab you for a minute? Just need to check something. And we're all connected in very much the same way as we would be in the same office.
Yeah, it just gives us a bit more freedom. So with, so far you're telling me I can save on Zoom, right? So I can actually run webinars and that sort of stuff on it?
You absolutely can. But when you look at
that people will have to register for?
So it's exactly like you would send out an invitation to an online meeting through Zoom. You do the same thing through Teams. The advantage is that because it's all part of the Office 365 ecosystem, if I go to create an invitation in my Outlook client, for example, so set up new meeting, I just press the button to say Teams meeting, and it populates with all the details to dial in, for connecting and on time. So all I've got to do is literally create the invitation and send it out. There's no copying and pasting from one platform to put into another. But the average business that is using Office 365, Kevin, they've no idea of the power that they've got. So they might be using Dropbox when they've already got OneDrive. They might be using Zoom when they could be using Teams. They might be using Calendly when they've got bookings as part of Office 365.
So have you actually looked into all the different applications that I'm accidentally buying and duplicating all these different costs already? You've just named them. And between those, it's very easy, particularly if you're using Zoom for webinars online. You're starting to pay $80 a month for that. So all of a sudden, there's $1,000 that you save by not having to get Zoom. Calendly, you've got another $15 a month on top of that. So there's another $150 that you've just saved. 180. Calendly, I think there's another, $12 to $15. So there's another $150 that you've just saved. So we're close to $1,500 a year that we've just saved on stuff that we've already got.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just because people have never been shown what they've got. Most of the time when they're sold Office 365, it's about moving documents and particularly emails off a server in their office into the cloud. And that's a part of the story, but it's only the beginning of the journey. So we've got many, many customers who've got 15 other applications that they're using, some of which they need to keep because they're very industry specific or they fit a particular purpose for their business, but most of which can be replicated within Office. And the great advantage of that is not just that it all talks to each other because it's all part of the same platform. So there's never any issue with this one's been updated, now that one doesn't talk to it anymore. None of that ever happens. But also every login and password you have is another chance for a hacker to get into your ecosystem. So the more you can limit the number of systems you have to log into, the safer you are.
Cool. So at the moment, you're like, I'm just dumbfounded with how many different things that I could move away with just by changing how I'm doing stuff. So why does Microsoft hide all of this?
Well, I'm not disappointed that they do because that's why we have a business. But, in all reality, it's because a lot of the partners who are selling these solutions are traditional IT businesses. So they're used to selling servers and laptops and firewalls, wireless access points. They sell you internet services and wide area networks and all of those bits and pieces that keep you going. And they move your cloud-based services away from servers like emails and documents, but that's really as much as they understand because Office 365 is a very specialist tool set. So it's generic, it's for everybody. Everyone's using Word and Excel and Outlook, but then there are all these other tools that most people, like even the IT providers, don't really understand well enough to advocate for customers. This is how we can help you to save money and drive efficiency. And that's why we exist.
Even if they do understand it, it's, hey, they're busy keeping your system safe in other ways and keeping them running and doing all that sort of stuff. And here's just one more thing. And they haven't thought of this as they haven't considered that next step in relation to that. So, let's not bag them. They're doing a lot of them are doing a really awesome job at what they do. And here's an extra step. It's just one of those things that so many of us are doing really great jobs at what we do, but then we're just not thinking of that next step that our customer wants.
Totally. And it's not in any way a criticism of the IT businesses because that's their traditional model. And they have a different business model, which is generally, we're going to get you to pay us a certain amount every month and we'll just keep you operational. Anything that comes at you from an IT perspective, be it phone or fax or laptop related, we'll deal with it. So that's very much their model. Ours is very much more project based. So you need us to help you move your documents into the cloud and make it more accessible to everyone wherever they're working from, no problem. You need us to train you on how to use these tools to extract meaningful data out of your business or to collaborate better online. That's what we do. So it's a different business model. It's not a criticism of them. It's just that they do something different to what we do and we complement each other. Most of our businesses actually come from these managed services providers who go, the customer's now talking about proper collaboration. Can you come in and help us with that piece?
And that's where you're collaborating with them. So awesome. And it is it's just one of those things. It's another layer that just gets put on that IT piece of pie because it really is a challenge when you've got major software or major services that are all kind of fighting with each other and trying to get their own little stake in the ground. This is why Microsoft hardly talks to Google, who hardly talks to Facebook and everything. And they're all trying to take complete control rather than working collaboratively so everything flows nice and smoothly. And this is why some things work well on Microsoft Edge and other things will work really well with Chrome. And other things will work really well with Firefox. It's just the different platforms. And I get that part of it. So for you, really, it's not about converting everyone to being on Microsoft. It's, hey, if you've got Microsoft, I can help you save a lot of money.
Yeah, it's well, both really, because a lot of the time people are using alternative tools and they're making do. So, it was started off 10 years ago with 2 people in the business and the processes were just fine. But then as you grow over time and you put more people on, you've got to train more people in the 10 systems that you use, and that's inefficient. They don't talk to each other, so you enter information into this and then go over there and put it into that system. So to give you an example, Kevin, Volunteer Marine Rescue are based up in Brisbane, which is actually in Shorncliffe, is DMR Brisbane's headquarters. We've done a project with them over about 3 years in little sort of piecemeal projects. So we've taken their whole ecosystem and plugged it all into each other. So it's not just about the tools that you have within Office 365. It's about the fact that it can be your single source of entry into everything. So their website now feeds information into SharePoint about their members. And then we use that information to populate MyOb with the cards automatically. So when a new member is created in SharePoint, it's created in MyOb. When a payment's made in MyOb, that updates the membership status in SharePoint. And it also integrates with MailChimp and the security system. So even though we're really talking about Office 365 and full transformation of their business, it's really only SharePoint plus plugging that into a bunch of other things that have meant that they no longer have all this manual process. We've saved them about 3 hours of admin work per member per year.
Yep.
And with 1,000 members, that's equivalent to 1.5 full-time equivalent positions.
Yep.
That's a huge saving.
And that's the thing, that so often we do just go, hey, I need to solve this new problem that I've got. So what solution do I need? And we just go out and buy a solution for that rather than looking at what we've got that could already be offering that. And particularly, as we said, Microsoft have kind of done a poor job at letting people know what they've got. They're just kind of assuming that, hey, if you're paying us $15 a month or whatever it is, I think that's what it is, we're giving you all this stuff and you should know that.
Well, the problem with Microsoft, like a lot of major corporations dealing with other major corporations, is that they're used to dealing with and very focused on the top end of town. The people who have tens of thousands of licenses and full IT departments internally. Yeah. So they have a very different engagement. They have a very different process of getting those systems in place. So, you have a Microsoft account manager who helps you understand this technology, but you've got a team of IT people who can do it for you. When you're a small business, when you're working from home or you've got a couple of people in your team, you don't have those resources. So you rely on...
I don't get my own Microsoft account manager for my $15 a month. What's wrong with that?
I know, right? It's a weird world we live in.
It's gone up. I absolutely get that. And I get why they're doing what they're doing or why they do it that way. So the major components we were talking a little bit about before were online. So there's SharePoint, which is similar to Dropbox.
Yep. It's basically the place where you can put all of your documents that everyone can access. You can share externally with safe links as well, but it's also a workflow engine. So a simple example is when I save a document like a signed work order to my SharePoint library, that triggers an email to the accounts girl to raise the invoice for the deposit. So we can actually smooth out a lot of those things to make sure that stuff doesn't fall through the cracks. So it's documents, it's also a workflow engine, and coming into its own now is the intranet side of things, where instead of bombarding people with 10 or 15 email messages a day just about internal stuff, you can post all the important information onto SharePoint, into your intranet, and people can access it whenever they go to look at documents. They'll see the new information. SharePoint's really more than that, but document storage is the main thing.
The other thing that you brought up was this real-time co-authoring collaboration of stuff, because traditionally you haven't been able to do that with Microsoft. Like Google seemed way ahead of them at doing this. So if we want to do this, we don't have to go into Google?
No, absolutely. And this is the thing that Microsoft are quite good at releasing products that are a bit half-baked, to be honest. And then over time, they get better and better and better and quite often overtake the competition. So they started behind the 8 ball with Teams, was originally just to keep up with Slack. And then it's taken over that and become a competitor for Zoom and a whole bunch of other things. The same is true with Office 365. It was really about just having a subscription model. So how can they turn one-off sales into perpetual income? But it's also got the benefit of you always have the latest versions and you never have to do an update again, and you don't have compatibility issues between your version's too old, we can't open this file. But the real-time co-authoring means that I can be online in Word, and I can basically just connect it to the internet on a Word document, and I can invite someone to share that document with me.
Yep.
And they will then be invited into that document, and I can write and they can write, and they'll see where I am, I'll see where they are. So we can both work on the document at the same time. Really handy now that we're remote working. And if you've got a deadline to hit, I can be working on the executive summary, for example, and you can be fixing up the pricing at the same time. So really powerful. And it's more multiple parties, not just two people.
Yeah, so it really is, helping us to work remotely without having a huge infrastructure behind us that we would have needed 5 years ago.
That's right. It used to be that if you wanted access to these enterprise-grade tools, you had to buy a server farm and have people to maintain it for you. But everything has little by little moved into the cloud. So over the last couple of years, we've seen their accounting and ERP, enterprise resource planning tools move in. Before that, it was Dynamics CRM, the CRM platform, and Office and SharePoint were prior to that. But everything is now moving into the cloud. So you can pay a few dollars per user per month and get access to these huge systems that really were the preserved events customers until the last 5 or 10 years. So really level playing field to get much more sophisticated in how their systems work in the back end.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, look, the one thing I'm most excited about is the fact that I can save, probably close to $2,000 a year. And this at a time where we all are looking for savings. We're looking for what can we cut out, and particularly of our subscription stuff. When we start adding up all of our subscriptions, and it's a scary number very, very fast. Whether it's our insurance or whether it's our, or our different IT systems, and then getting all these things to talk to each other, and therefore we need another tool to do that. All of a sudden we can, cut out, over $100 a month, which is great. There's a couple of cases of beer, although maybe I just said too much. I do want people to be thinking at this stage, how can we save money without compromising our lifestyle, or without compromising our online lifestyle, right? It definitely seems to be here that we have that opportunity with Office 365, that we can look at the different things that we may not need, the different tools that we may not need, but we need to learn to work a little bit differently. We may need some guidance in association with that. So do you run generic online webinars to help people with this, or?
Yeah, we have run more classroom training around topics like cybersecurity and how to get the most out of the tools you already own. So we are going to move those online. To be honest, we're being smashed with inquiries of the emergency nature, like, help, I need to get this working remotely. Help, I need to know how to run my meetings online using Teams instead of around the boardroom table. So we've been doing a lot of that sort of stuff. But we've actually built over the years a whole bunch of self-help resources about how to set up teams for online meetings, how to implement multi-factor authentication, which is the most important tip that I can give anyone today. Everything you're accessing is multi-factor, so that you're breaking in.
Because it just went a little bit robotic just as you said that.
Okay. So multi-factor authentication is where you get a code sent to your phone every time you log into something. It doesn't have to be every time, but every time it's something different, i.e. a different IP address, a different device, it's going to challenge you to say, who are you? And should you be getting into this environment? Yeah. So switching on multi-factor authentication, or two-factor authentication, as some providers call it, is the most important thing you can do to protect your data, because without that code, people can't get in, even if they capture your email and password. So we've got guides on how to set that up. They've got guides on remote working and how to work more efficiently. So from our website, people can download a whole bunch of resources to help themselves. They don't need to engage us to help them to make the most of this solution. It's really about, it's all there. You just need to know how to use it. And we've built a lot of guides to help people through this process of getting the most value.
Fantastic. And we actually started talking because you were sending some information around Microsoft is actually offering something for free for 6 months.
They absolutely are. So it started off as a free trial of Microsoft Teams, which is the online tool for meetings and video conferencing and instant messaging, etc. But they're actually offering now a free trial of the E1 license, which is the Enterprise One license. And that gives you access to all of the tools that I'm talking about. There's about 30 of them altogether. It's only the cloud-based version. So in other words, you don't get a new version of the desktop installation for Word or Excel. But what it does give you is access to all of those tools free for 6 months. So you can basically get yourself through this tricky period. And if after that you decide you want to stick with it, then they'll be charging, I think it's about $10 or $12 a month for an Enterprise One license. Can't remember off the top of my head, but it's pretty low cost, certainly sub $20. But if you do want to just use it for this period, you've got 6 months to use it. And it's pretty easy to set up, particularly if you're a solopreneur or just a couple of you. And again, we've got some information to help people to get that set up. So yeah, really compelling.
So what we'll do is we'll post that information down below when you're off this call. We'll also create a little ad for you, and we'll put that up to help people know that they can get this and how they should go about that. Look, I want to thank you for your time and thank you for enlightening us on what is available and how we can really start streamlining our businesses by using more things that we already have available to us. Let's start doing that, because it's one of the things, the best way we can save money is by cutting out all that waste. That way we've got more money to spend with each other within business, small business. So that's what I would love to be doing, is helping you save a lot of money. And here's one great way of doing it. Tristram, thank you very much for trying to post that stuff into BSB, for helping beat me up a little bit when I needed it, and to say, Kevin, we really got to get this message out there, and that's what jogged us to having this actual discussion today. So thank you very much for your generosity for everyone in Brisbane small business. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Kevin. And I just really want to make sure that we keep as many businesses functioning as possible, so we don't suffer a worse economic fallout from everyone having to work from home and businesses closing. The more people we can keep in business, the better we're all going to be when we come out the other side of this. So anything we can do to help those businesses stay efficient, productive, connected, we're really happy to do it. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it.
All right. Cheers, Kevin. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone.